Thank you for joining us for our first session of the second day of the MENA ICT Forum. This session will be on blockchain. As you all know, many of us speculate on when the depletion of interest in the phenomenon that is blockchain will occur. Despite this, innovations within this ecosystem continue to develop, and with it, investments continue to soar. This session will help shed light on the ways in which these technologies are impacting government and other industries, and in addition to the relationship between crypto and price fluctuations. Please welcome our first speaker of this session, Mr. Ashraf Alqudah, CEO at Tjdeed Technology.
Thank you, Yasmin, for the introduction. I think the voice is good. Good morning. Sabah al-khair. I will speak in Arabic. So I apologize for the people who does not understand Arabic. We might have the chit-chat after the session. In fact, my speech is about my story. في صيف 2017 في طريقي من دبي لأبو ظبي حكى معي أحد المؤسسين في الشركات، واحدة من الشركات اللي أنا مستثمر فيها. بيحكي لي أشرف معك 5 دقائق؟ طبعا بيحكي معي من سان فرانسيسكو، الدنيا عنده نص ليل، قلت أكيد في شيء مهم جدا. وبعد 1.5 ساعة وهو بيحكي لي بلوك تشين، كريبتو، ICO، STO، ريزنج فند ل 30 شركة مع بعض، حنغير العالم، حنعمل أول شيء من نوع. قلت له علاء I understand nothing، أنا مش فاهم عليك. شو اللي بدك إياه؟ حكى لي بدي أبروفال البورد. وفعلا بعد شهرين أو كم من شهر كانوا الشباب عاملين أول security token offering بالعالم. أي قدروا يجمعوا تمويل ل 30 شركة مجتمعين كلهم بمحفظة واحدة، بس المميز إنهم ما جمعوا هذا التمويل من VC اللي هم الفينشر كابيتالست أو الشركات اللي متخصصة بالاستثمار بالشركات الناشئة، ولا من انستتيوشن أو شركات استثمارية، بل من أفراد بكل العالم متوزعين من كل العالم، وأعطوا الفرصة لهدول الأفراد اللي بالعالم كله إنهم يستثمروا لو $1000 واحد أو $1000 في 30 شركة من شركات السيليكون فالي. وهذه بالنسبة لي كانت نقطة تحول أو سموها الآها مومنت، لأني شفت الحل لمعظم تحديات الشركات الناشئة في المنطقة، شركات الأساميز، حتى أصحاب المشاريع وأصحاب الأصول الجامدة مثل العقارات أو البرايفت إكويتي أو اللي هي الأسهم بالشركات الخاصة. وفعلا حجزت تذكرة على سان فرانسيسكو وقعدت 5 أسابيع ما عملش إشي غير زي الشحات، بلف من باب لباب، من ميت اب لميت اب، بس لأنه إذا كان في بالميت اب كلمة بلوك تشين، كريبتو، بيتكوين، ICO، STO. وبعد هدول 5 أسابيع طلعت تليفوني وعملت تك لتو دو تاسك عندي، لتاسك موجودة على تو دو ليست عندي عمرها 4 سنين أو 5 سنين، لأنه كنت أول مرة بعرف فيها أو بسمع فيها عن كلمة بيتكوين كانت بعام 2013، وكلكم بتعرفوا لو رجع فيه الزمن ل 2013 شو بساوي، أو الباي مور بيتكوين. unfortunately أخذت مني 5 سنين وما عملت هذا التك. عشان هيك كل واحد فيكم إذا عنده مثل هاي التاسك على التو دو ليست تبعه to understand more about blockchain, bitcoin, metaverse، بترجاه اليوم بكره الصبح يطفي تليفونه، ياخذ 2 days off، 2 days to understand, to study more، يشوف له كم من فيديو يعرف أكثر عن البلوك تشين والميتافيرس والNFTs والديسنترلايزد فاينانس. ليش؟ لأنه العالم راح يتغير، حنبطل نعرفه زي ما هو اليوم، وكل واحد فينا حياته حتتغير بشكل أو بآخر، أو جزء منها حيتغير بطريقة أخرى بسبب ظهور تكنولوجي زي البلوك تشين. طبعا بعد ما شفت هذه التقنية آمنت إنه صار اليوم الوقت، أو صار إحنا اليوم لأول مرة في التاريخ عندنا الفرصة إنه نغير ونرجع العدالة والمساواة في الفرص للنظام الاقتصادي الحالي اللي مبني بأساسه على اللامساواة. لأول مرة صار بإمكان اللي معاه $10 واللي معاه $1,000,000 يستثمروا بنفس الصفقة ويشتروا من نفس العقار في أي منطقة بالعالم ويأخذوا نفس النسبة من الأرباح والعوائد على استثمار. لأول مرة صار بإمكاننا نملك بياناتنا على الإنترنت. لأول مرة صار بإمكانك تحكي لا لشركات الإنترنت ما تعطيهم بياناتك يستخدموها بهالف يعمل فيها فلوس. ولأول مرة، وهذا اللي بيهمني جدا، صار بإمكان المبدعين، المؤلفين، الكرييترز يستفيدوا من عوائد هذه الإبداعات بدل ما يروح 3/4 للوسيط من دور نشر ومن بلاتفورمز مثل اليوتيوب وغيره. وعشان قبل ما أطلع هالنقطة أسألكم سؤال: مين بيملك حساب فيسبوك؟ أقول ولا حدا؟ أغلبنا، إذا مش كلنا، يعني السؤال صار بديهي. طيب مين بيملك هذا الحساب؟ يعني مين عنده، مين بيملكه هذا الحساب؟ مين بيحكي إنه هذا الحساب إلي؟ ولا واحد. الحساب مش إلنا فعليا، لشركة فيسبوك. والدليل إذا اليوم عندك آلاف بل ملايين المتابعين وقرر شركة فيسبوك تسكر حسابك، they can't do it. إذا أنت قررت إنه والله أنا بدي أشارك هاي البيانات مع معلن معين مش مع الثاني وبدي أخذ عوائد عليها، بتقدر؟ ما بتقدر. ولكن مع ظهور تقنية البلوك تشين بقدر أحكي لك نعم صار بإمكانك. وعشان إحنا نكون جزء من هذا التغيير اللي بده يصير، ما نقعد بس متفرجين، لأنه أنا بآمن إنه إذا بدك تعرف تتنبأ بالمستقبل، كثير بيسألوا عن المستقبل البلوك تشين والكريبتو، ببساطة كون جزء من هذا التغيير. قررنا ب 2018 نأسس شركة بهدف واحد، مشروع اللي له هدف واحد، مش واحد، إنه يمكن أي شخص بالعالم وين ما كان، شو معه فلوس، قد ما يكون معه المبلغ، بأي وقت يستثمر أو يتملك أي شيء بالعالم بأي مكان بأي مبلغ وهو قاعد مكانه. وبنفس الوقت، وهو كمان مهم جدا، يمكن أصحاب المشاريع، أصحاب الشركات، أصحاب الأصول الجامدة من عقارات ومن أي أصل جامد حتى لو كان إكويتي، يقدر يعمل ريزنج فند أو يسيل جزء من هذه الأصول الجامدة بأي وقت بأي مبلغ لأي حد في العالم. طبعا هذا الإشي بنعمله عن طريق إشي بنسميه إحنا توكنايزيشن. والتوكنايزيشن هو ربط الأصول في العالم الواقعي مع الأصول الرقمية بالعالم الافتراضي أو بالعالم الرقمي، ومن ثم تقسيم هذه الأصول لأجزاء صغيرة بنسميها توكنز، أو جزء سمعته بالاسم الشهير NFTs، رموز غير قابلة للاستبدال، non-fungible tokens. كلها هذه مسميات تطلق على الوحدة الصغيرة اللي بتمثل الأصول الرقمية. بهذه العملية صار فعليا بإمكانك، وفعلا بعد 4 سنين من الجهود صار بإمكانك، لو أنت قاعد هون في البحر الميت، أتوقع إحنا في أخفض بقعة في العالم كمنطقة، تقدر تفتح تليفونك تشتري لقدم مربع واحد $500 $300 من أعلى برج في العالم، مثلا برج خليفة، على كبسة زر على تطبيق تليفونك في جيبتك. وهذه البيانات وهذه التوكنز وهذه المعلومات كلها مخزنة على مجموعة حواسيب منتشرة بكل العالم، ما حدا بيملكها، موجودة مرتبطة مع بعضها بتقنية اسمها بلوك تشين. والبلوك تشين أكيد صارت هلأ مرة على كل الناس، إشي مش جديد، وكتكنولوجي مش جديدة. ولكن الجديد بالموضوع ب 2009 طلع مؤسسة أو فرد لليوم مش معروفين هويتهم تحت مسمى ساتوشي ناكاموتو، ونشروا ورقة بحثية اسمها بيتكوين بير تو بير كاش سيستم، الكترونيك بير تو بير كاش سيستم. وهذه الورقة البحثية انبثق منها عملة البيتكوين، وهي أول عملة لا مركزية اللي طلعت كأول تطبيق عملي على تقنية البلوك تشين، واللي كانت توعد الناس إنه إحنا العملة اللا مركزية اللي هتحل معظم تحديات العملات البنوك المركزية من انفليشن وتضخم وما إلى ذلك وتحكم وطباعة عملة وما إلى ذلك. لكن أنا بعتقد إنه المشوار لسه طويل، وإحنا في أول المشوار. اليوم إحنا في أول المشوار، وزي أي تكنولوجي راح نمر بتحديات، راح نمر بتطورات، ولكن إيماني المطلق إنه ما راح يقدر يوقفها، ولا إشي راح يقدر يوقف هذه التكنولوجيا الثورية. بالضبط زي ما صار مع المحرك البخاري، مع الكهرباء، مع الإنترنت. وزي ما قدرت الإنترنت، ما دام بنحكي على الإنترنت، تمكننا نقرب المسافات وننقل نسخ بحكي نسخ لأنه بننقل نسخ من البيانات والصور والفيديوز والرسائل من مكان لمكان باستخدام الإنترنت. طلعت البلوك تشين عشان تمكننا من نقل أصل البيانات نفسها، الأصول الرقمية نفسها كاملة من مكان لمكان. وزي ما قدرنا نعيش حياتنا وننقل رسائلنا من غير ما نعتمد على شركات البريد، عم نقدر ننقل فلوسنا بين بعض من غير ما نعتمد على البنك. شكرا.
Thank you, Mr. Ashraf. So please welcome our second speaker, Rahma Beaugrand, Vice President, Head of Customer Advisory and Pre-Sales Middle East, in the Middle East South at SAP.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope you hear me well. Yeah. Thank you. صباح الخير. Sorry, I will speak in English, not in Arabic, because I am not very, very fluent, but I hope it will be fine for everyone. So my speech today is about something that everyone probably will ask me, why we are talking about blockchain when blockchain appears in 2014 and 15 when we start really showing the hype of the blockchain. My answer is blockchain is here to stay. And why the blockchain is here to stay? Let's start with 3 elements that I want to share with you. Why we think that blockchain is here to stay, what are till now the achievement that blockchain succeed to have, and the third element is how blockchain is linked to the future technology like metaverse that you are all, I think, thinking about now. And I think yesterday already you had some presentation on metaverse in the event. So let's say why blockchain is here to stay. Some elements and some numbers. 56%, yes, from the expert from the MIT, they think that the blockchain is contributing to the disruptive innovation that we see today. 56% of them, they think that it's the element that disturbs the most the financial services today. That means all the fintech that we are talking about today and so on are influenced by this technology at the level of 56%. And the other element that is very, very important is the projection. What is exactly the contribution of blockchain? The expected contribution of blockchain by 2030, it will be around $1.76 trillion. So that's why we believe that the blockchain is here to stay. It's just about number and fact. But why we think that? Why this number exists? First of all, because of the technology. Blockchain, as my predecessor mentioned, is about trust, is about collaboration, is about non-central organization controlling everything, is about the interaction with different organizations. So from the technology perspective, it's a valuable business case, I will say. The second element is about economic situation. So now, just to get back to the economy theory, if you remember the economy theory, the capitalism, the theory of Taylor, they're supposed to have 0 financial transactions when we do transaction between different partners in the economy. This is what the blockchain is bringing. We're supposed to have a trust. We have transparency during the exchange between the different stakeholders in the economy. We don't see it today in the real world. But with the blockchain, you have it. And that's why blockchain is bringing value even in the economy and the business case. This is why they have an impact in the industry. And this is what I will present to you. What are the impacts of the blockchain since blockchain was introduced in the economy? Financial sector, everyone heard about it, Bitcoin. But I will not talk about Bitcoin because it's not really the value for financial services. It's more the collaboration, the due diligence, and so on. We will speak about it. And finally, the adoption. If the blockchain was not good, was just a hype, from 2014 to today, 8 years, why are we still talking about blockchain? Why do we have this event? That means this, the blockchain has a value and was adopted, and we saw before that the adoption happened because 56% of the people that they are in the different industry believe that the blockchain is now part of the technology that we need to count with in the future. So let me tell you something about the blockchain and how, oops, it's not going. Yeah, that's now it's working. Let me start. I have an issue. Yes, that's good. So the first one is the implication on financial services. The blockchain was used first time to do the international transfer between a bank in Canada and a bank in Germany. For example, for our case in SAP, we started with this exchange. The exchange, usually they used to have 3 days. It happens in 40 seconds. And this is the value of the blockchain. Or the due diligence that the bank has to do during their transactional was reduced because of the collaboration, because of the trust, because of this technology. Second element, the government. In UAE, I live in Dubai. In Dubai, we have announced since now years that all our services, public services, are provided through blockchain, zero paperless. And that's a reality. Everything is zero paperless. Today, governments are using blockchain for delivering public services. This is a value. Secondly, in the healthcare services. In the healthcare services, we worked with SAP in different areas with different organizations on, for example, collaborative way how to handle certain diseases in certain organizations in Germany. And this is a reality. There is a consortium of different healthcare organizations working together in the trust network. Second, when you have a collaboration between different big projects, today blockchain is used for that. If you go to several organizations, several big companies like Mercedes, like BMW, they are using that for trusting. By the way, I will show you another organization in UAE where we used the blockchain for interaction regarding a complex project. And finally, it's a collaboration also for the engineering offices, for any industrial organization. I will talk about it, for example, for automotive. In automotive, we create with SAP and with other partners a network of blockchain where different organizations are together in the end-to-end supply chain of the automotive to create value for each one of these organizations in the blockchain by sharing information, by sharing data, by sharing best practices, by collaborating in innovation project, and so on. So, for example, here, Wasl, someone, if you know, this organization is a Dubai-based company, property managed company, and they have, in fact, worked with us on putting a place on end-to-end process for the contract, the tenant contract, end of the tenant contract organization. So this is a collaborative way. This is one example from Italy. In Italian region, we use blockchain for public services. This is the track and trace of fake medicine. We use it also for the blockchain. Why we use the blockchain? Because when you have the authenticity of the product, you cannot fail it. When you have the information on the blockchain, you cannot change the number, you cannot change the data. Anyone in the organization has access to this value and this information and will confirm that the medicine that you have enhanced is the real medicine and not a fake medicine. So these are some examples of the organization. But it's not only that. Where we are working today is about this, the carbon footprint. How we will do the carbon data network. Why I bring this to the table? Because you remember this week and the last week it's COP27 in Egypt, and sustainability is today the main topic in different organizations. We have a problem in different areas in the sustainability. We have problem on digitalization, problem of transparency, problem of counting the carbon footprint, problem of how much we need to invest in order to use and to stock all the carbons that it's creating. Some data, 40% for what you see in the website are really misleading in terms of sustainability benefits. 60% in the garment and fashion mode, it's also not relevant in terms of what they mention as sustainability benefits. So we have a problems, and these problems can be solved by the blockchain. So what we create with our partners, for example, we create this carbon footprint network where different organizations come together to share the information about the carbon footprint of their product. The problem that they don't know necessarily how much their product is consuming on carbon footprint, and they don't know how they recycle it. But the fact that everyone is in network between the supplier and the customer, they can share this information, and they can have a view on end-to-end the chain of the carbon footprint. So they can better, in fact, together organize the network of the carbon sustainable net zero, what we call it the strategy net zero, because they have information of their carbon, where it's coming from, and how they use it afterwards at the end. This is the Catena example, is for the automotive that we discussed it before. So this is just an idea. But why blockchain is very important? Because blockchain is part of the metaverse. If I go here, you can see the metaverse is the combination of 3 cycles, if I can say. You have the immersive experience, you have the Web3, and you have, in the Web3, the distributed ledger of technology. Blockchain is used for the NFTs, is used for the tracking of the information. So imagine, for example, for education. Today with metaverse, you can have the best children giving a course in medicine everywhere in the world, because you have the possibility to see and to follow the course remotely, but at the same time you can have your degree, justified, certified degree in the metaverse using blockchain, that this degree is a real degree and not a fake degree, and you really pass the exams in the medicine, for example. Imagine what we can do if we do it in the manufacturing space, where you have engineering from everywhere in the world collaborating together, testing, reviewing, rethinking the model without any implication in terms of carbon, transportation of this engineering, or consumption of raw materials and so on. You can think about it, redo it, and so on. And all this modification can be tracked in the blockchain. So anyone can see how you produce this, how much what you produce is safe, how much what you produce is using the right materials, and so on, because everything is tracked in the blockchain. Same thing if we think about the token, the green token. If you create something good in your organization, you can give, instead of a normal royalty to your customers or your employees, but a token. And this token is a blockchain token, and it's contributing to the green economy. So just to address this, blockchain is here to stay. They prove their value, and they will prove more value with the future of the metaverse, where we see the blockchain has a very big importance in the future of what metaverse will do for our organization and our community and our society, even if we are at a really very, very early stage. The application will come in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rahma, for your presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. Dave Feenan, Director at Technology Ireland ICT Skillnet. Please welcome Mr. Dave Feenan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for your time and for coming into this session. I'm going to take a slightly different approach to the previous 2 speakers who have eloquently spoken about the technology side of it, and to address you as the chair of the Blockchain Ireland cluster in Ireland. So since 2015, we've set out on a journey to understand, basically, will blockchain save the world? So over the next 10 minutes, come with me on this journey and maybe take away some of the insights we've gained over the last 7 years in building this cluster in Ireland. And if you think about the journey, we've all come from a Web 1, where it was all read in the 90s through .com, .bomb into Web 2, which is where the majority of us live today, and it's where the majority of business has finally got to. Because you've got to consider, say, even cloud computing. Like, the majority of people in the room would have had a Gmail account or a Hotmail account back in the early noughties, but yet cloud adoption in enterprise didn't really accelerate until 2013, 2014. And if anything, COVID was an enabler for worldwide acceptance of cloud as we all rushed to Zoom and Teams and everything else. So whilst new technologies come over the horizon on a frequency basis, it really is trying to find those business cases, those societal cases where there's actually an impact by the technology. And one of the challenges for us with the blockchain cluster in Ireland is to figure out and convince people that blockchain is here to stay. There is a rush, as we've seen, to Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies, NFTs. There's a whole new lexicon, as the previous speakers have alluded to. People are getting confused by the acronyms. But we're all on a journey. But the main thing about a journey is you've got to fill the bus. You've got to fill the bus full of experts in different areas, from policymakers to academia to industry, because none of these technologies will actually gain traction unless we're all on the same journey. So as you can see, like from 2014, when the phrase, Web3 was coined, that was really when we started the journey into blockchain and the metaverse. But I'd quite happily say to you, if you go to any job recruitment pages for organizations looking for blockchain experts, it's always amazing to see that they're looking for people with 5, 7, 8 years experience. They don't exist. They genuinely don't exist. So at times the hype can overtake the actual reality. So what we did in 2015 in Ireland is we set up the Blockchain Ireland cluster. And that, in essence, in year one, was a list of all the companies, all the organisations, the triple helix in Ireland that had some competency, that was prepared to go on the journey. There are utility companies in there, financial service companies, there's government agencies, academia, and we were all trying to understand, was this a fad? Was this another bubble memory play, or was it a Betamax play? Was it going to be superseded by another technology? So we started the journey, and blockchain is going to be a journey. Today, this is where we are in Ireland. Now, I know it's quite a intense slide, but you can see all the different sectors. You can see how travel tech, insure tech, reg tech is starting to use blockchain. All the traditional industries are there. You can see how professional services are coming into the realm because they see the ability for them to generate revenue through smart contracts and the execution of new types of business agreements. Data protection has changed as well, so there's a whole host of new legislation coming down the track in relation to that. So the ecosystems are growing, and I think the opportunity here for the Jordanian ICT cluster is to come on board with us, exchange best practices with what we've learned in Ireland, learn from the mistakes we made, speed bumps we hit. There are companies here that you could possibly engage with. There are state agencies you could engage with as well. So as you can see, this has grown substantially. And also you'll notice that there are quite a number of large multinational names there as well. So for Ireland, to remain competitive, we're also using it as a foreign direct investment play, because we've built the ecosystem, we've built the talent pools, we've built the professional services. So when a company comes in to set up in Ireland, being it a small SME, or if it's a indigenous company, the infrastructure is there. There is a level of expertise across all the touch points for people to engage in understanding more about blockchain. The previous speakers have alluded to the areas that we're seeing traction in. So without actually repeating it again, they've talked about all of these, but we're also seeing it moving out into areas like aviation, where maintenance records are now going into blockchain, airport-related documentation about the infrastructure of airports is going into blockchain. We've seen it coming into the purchase of a house environment as well. There are quite a lot of contracts being exchanged in relation to property as such. But is it only a generational move or a new way of actually doing things? And this is why we're saying we really have to find worldwide case studies that are easily replicatable in any country. So for us, yeah, we're saying, yeah, future. Blockchain's here to stay. The metaverse, previous speakers, and I've no doubt the speakers after me will refer to it as well. But there's opportunity there. But with opportunity also comes opportunity for those that will use blockchain for criminal purposes, as we've seen with Bitcoin and that. So it's no different to any technology. There's good and there's bad, and we need to be very, very conscious of that. So just to give you a quick overview, the blockchain cluster in Ireland today has over 1,500 members. We have 6 dedicated working groups. So we've working groups for the startups, we've working groups for enterprise, we have a legal and regulatory working group, there's a working group on education skills and innovation. We also have a comms working group as well, and then a general catch-all working group. Through Blockchain Ireland, in 2018, we launched the very first Masters in Blockchain. Now, this was a Masters in Distributed Ledger Technology, so it's all based around Ethereum, etc. So we're feeding the talent pipeline in Ireland by creating academically recognised accreditation in the blockchain space. There is not an awful lot of industry certified courses out there. We do have some of them in our portfolio, but this has driven a USP for Ireland as well, because well over 100 people have now undertaken or are currently undertaking that Masters in blockchain. And we're constantly updating it as the technology itself changes. So in closing out the presentation this morning, it's just to say to you, there is a very well-established blockchain cluster in Ireland. If it is of interest to anybody in the audience today or your organisations, if you want to engage with the companies in Ireland, please reach out to me. My details are there on the last slide. Or if you want to go to LinkedIn, there's a Blockchain Ireland cluster, which is by all means join up. There's over 7,000 people in that cluster, a lot of global interaction. We also engage with clusters around the world, like in Switzerland, Canada, Australia. They all have very well established clusters. And if there is an interest in the blockchain space here in Jordan, definitely suggest you to consider putting a cluster together. You are after doing it in other areas. There are other like-minded clusters globally that will help you on the journey. And in May of each year, we host Blockchain Ireland Week, which is only a 3-day event, but we like to say a week. It's the Irish exaggerating. The party goes on usually for the other 2 days after it. But like at home in Ireland, we're seeing case studies like in areas like food providence, in craft beers. So it's even getting down. There are newborn on the blockchain companies starting up as well. So if we can be of any help to you at all, please reach out to us. And again, thank you very much for your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Feenan. Please welcome our next speaker, Mr. Alexandru Marin, lead blockchain consultant at Zitec.
Hello? Can you hear me? One second. Sorry, is a problem with the presentation? We can also speak, it's no problem.
I'm very sorry about that. We're having some technical problems. So can we move on to Mr. Talal Tabbaa, who is the CEO at CoinMENA? And we will go back to Mr. Alexandru afterwards. Thank you all for understanding. Please welcome Mr. Talal Tabbaa.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, should be loud enough without the microphone. My name is Talal Tabbaa. I'm the CEO of CoinMENA. We're a regulated crypto exchange under the Central Bank of Bahrain. Previously, I also founded a company called Jibril that builds blockchain products on the Ethereum blockchain. Also proud to be part of MEPS's board in Jordan. I guess I used to work in traditional finance and moved on to the world of the interesting world of crypto, the volatile world of crypto as well. I guess starting off, I'd like to talk about a topic that I guess people talk about often, but it's very important to understand why blockchains are important. People always talk about how blockchains will improve processes or how it will make business better. But I really think it comes down to, obviously, many parts, but this is the most important part in my opinion. So throughout history, we had used intermediaries, wusata, in order to make sure that value can go from point A to point B. Okay, with physical cash, if I give you a 50 JD paper, that 50 JD paper has moved from Talal to the audience, and I can't take it back. But in the world of tech, if I send you an email, what's actually happening is I'm taking a copy of that email, and now a copy is with me and a copy is with you. So in the world of digital, there was no scarcity. So if I send a WhatsApp message to everyone, now there's a copy on my phone and everyone else's phone. That shouldn't work with money, because money should be scarce. So with Bitcoin, we had the first digital invention of digital scarcity. If I send you the Bitcoin from Talal to the audience, there is no other copy of it. And we do that without intermediaries. So I guess with the invention of Bitcoin, that was the first creation of blockchain. So I think it's important to note that blockchain in its current format was first described in the Bitcoin white paper. So I guess moving on, we talked about Bitcoin and how it leverages the blockchain to maintain a decentralized currency, while Ethereum, the second most popular cryptocurrency, operates as programmable money or decentralized world computer. So I guess I work in the crypto space, which in Jordan is not regulated yet. So we don't offer our services to any Jordanian residents, but inshallah, we're optimistic that regulations will come about, and I'll explain later in the slides why I think that is important. So I guess, what do we mean by hard money and Bitcoin? Bitcoin actually gave us money that is not based on debt. So the Jordanian dinar, the dollar, the euro, all of them are based on debt. The Saudi riyal also based on debt. It operates on a fractional reserve banking system, where the bank receives a specific amount of money and lends out those customers' money back. For thousands of years, gold was the most popular form of money because it could not be controlled by a central entity. But I guess gold was not a very convenient way of moving money around because it's hard, it's physical, it's not easy to transport. So with globalization, we needed a more easy way to move value across. And that's why we started using the existing banking system where I could send money from Jordan to New York without moving gold. So I guess people who believe in Bitcoin think it is a digital alternative to gold because it is hard in the sense that its supply is limited, similar to that of gold. As for Ethereum, I think Ethereum is one of the most exciting technologies out there. It has created, or it has allowed us to create smart contracts. I guess I'll take a minute to explain what smart contracts are and why they're different from real-world contracts. So let's say I'm renting from someone in the audience here. I'm renting an apartment. I would sign a physical contract and then I would throw that contract in the drawer and tell the bank, hey, please wire 1,000 JDs from Talal to the owner of the apartment. And therefore, the payment and the contract are separate. The contract could be digital, DocuSign, but it has no payment linked to it. The payment and the contract aren't linked. And fundamentally, what happens in Ethereum is you are able to link an agreement between two or more parties along with a payment. So let's say, for example, a sukuk or a bond. If I'm holding a token that represents a bond, I will receive periodic payments based on that smart contract. Going back to the lease agreement, let's say I lease an apartment from you using an Ethereum smart contract. Every month, when the rent is supposed to be paid, money will automatically go from my account to your account. Sometimes people ask me, okay, what if there is no more money in the account for it to be sent? Similar to the real world. If I fail on my rent payment once, twice, 3 times, I will be in default of the contract, and then it takes its path. So one example on how Bitcoin and Ethereum are different, if you're familiar with TXT files, it's just a very simple file of entries. That is mainly Bitcoin. The way that the blockchain is created is very simple, whereas Ethereum is a lot more complex. You can think of it as Excel or Google Sheets, where you can do a lot of stuff. Obviously, the more complex it is, the less secure it is, so there's always trade-offs. Bitcoin is considered the most secure database to ever been created. It started in 2009, and until now, it has operated flawlessly, block after block. I guess this is a relevant topic to talk about today. One of the biggest crypto exchanges globally blew up completely and went bankrupt a couple of days ago. It's called FTX. They have about $40 billion in liabilities. So it's really a disaster. Twice the size of the Enron scandal, if anyone remembers Enron. But what's important to note is the failure was the failure of a financial institution and not the underlying technology. So I guess with the innovations of Ethereum, we'll see a lot of new types of assets come to life. I think if one of the most important financial innovations, I would say the debit and credit system, which was founded by the Medici Bank in Italy, I think over 600 years ago. Debit and credit system really added a lot of value to the world. And then the other one, which is the creation of shares with the East Dutch Indies company, where I was able to sell shares of my company to others. So those two innovations are extremely important and I guess have shaped a lot of the way business operates today. I personally think that governance tokens, security tokens, and payment tokens will become a critical part in the coming 10, 20, 30 years in the world of business and others. I know I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and go as much as possible and possibly leave room for questions. So overview of the crypto markets in the MENA region. So MENA countries, in the top 30, we have 3. There's over $566 billion in transaction volume and 50% growth. So a statistic that drives me crazy, crypto volume in the black market in Jordan this year is more than the volume of the Amman Stock Exchange. Let that sink in. The total trading volume on the Amman Stock Exchange is less than the black market trading of crypto in Jordan that happens today. I think that is enough of a sign to show us that we actually need to regulate because, first of all, one thing that governments really like is taxes. Today, we're missing on taxes by not regulating these activities properly. Second of all, anti-money laundering. And third, I guess, yeah, I'll start with consumer protection. In a regulated business, you have the ability to investigate cases of crypto regulations, crypto issues. So as CoinMENA, we send a daily report to the Central Bank of Bahrain with every deposit, every withdrawal, every buy and every sell, every day. And they have an automated system that basically asks us for clarification on those transactions. An exchange that is not regulated will not have to report to any other institution. So from a consumer protection standpoint, it is extremely important for regulations. But again, that's not a clear-cut case. There are banks that have blew up before. So just the fact that there's regulations doesn't eliminate risk, but it heavily mitigates it. From an information standpoint, it's also very important. So basically, disclosures, people understanding what the risks are when they enter. is another important thing. Financial integrity when it comes to anti-money laundering, know your customer, and KYT, so know your transactions. And I guess on the innovation side, it heavily affects it. And I guess Jordanian engineers are today missing opportunities to work in very high-paying companies that basically hire remotely but pay in crypto. Because if I'm a Jordanian engineer and I get a contract with a company X that works in the world of crypto and they want to pay me in crypto, it's illegal. This is an unfortunate thing that I get asked about a lot. We have one engineer at CoinMENA that used to make 3,000 JDs, pretty good salary. He got an offer for 9 and did not know what to do because he can't accept crypto legally in Jordan. Hopefully, inshallah, I think there's a direction to regulate it. And we've seen Bahrain, UAE take the lead in the Middle East when it comes to crypto regulations. Central Bank of Bahrain, in my opinion, is the most robust framework out there. But also UAE has come out with a framework under Abu Dhabi Global Markets. And then most excitingly, the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, which is a regulator that only regulates digital assets. Yeah, I guess I will stop here. And yeah, I don't know if we have room for questions, but all right, cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, Mr. Talal. So let's go back now to Alexandru, who is a senior consultant at Zitec.
Hello. Second time the lucky one, I think. Okay. Yeah, this is the real one. Okay, so I'm Alexandru Marin. I'm lead consultant at Zitec, both blockchain and mobile. Today, thank you for attending this meeting. I want to talk about how you can enhance blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, and how you can bring real-world data into the blockchain. And for this, we need to define what are smart contracts and what is Ethereum. Well, Ethereum is a blockchain, you know that, but smart contracts are code blocks that live on the blockchain, and they have two issues. They are asleep. They are only awakened by transactions making from a human wallet, and are isolated from the outside world. And in order to solve these two issues, we need to bring in oracles. What are blockchain oracles? Well, blockchain oracles are data feeds that bring data from the off-chain onto the chain. You want to enhance this in order to have more use case, more than crypto use case. Okay, when to use oracles? Well, in order to use oracles, you need to think about an example. The example of having a lottery app that stays on blockchain, and you need for it to be executed automatically each time, let's say Sunday. So you can have a person that can win that lottery. For this, you need automation. Blockchain can't do that. In order to do that, you need to have oracles. Again, if you want to bring real-world data, you need to have oracles. In order to have the lottery that I was talking about, you need to have randomness. Blockchain is not a random-friendly environment because it's deterministic, and you cannot have non-deterministic outcomes for it. And also, blockchain is not one thing. There are many blockchains. And in order to communicate between the blockchains, if you want to have a multi-blockchain app developed, you need cross-chain bridges. Again, oracles can help you with this. Oracles are the technology that can bring real-world data into the blockchain. Okay, so in order to, the previous speakers for today informed you about a lot of use cases that blockchain can do, but let's enhance this further and let's move forward from crypto. So I will give you 3 simple use cases. The first is from the automotive industry, and we can start from the crypto concept of NFTs. Anyone knows what NFTs are? They are tradable, they are collectibles that can be traded for money and usually represent digital art. But let's take the concept of NFT and expand it further and associate the NFT with a real thing we have. For example, a car. Imagine that you want to sell a car. You are the buyer, and the manufacturer of the car gives you, together with the car, an NFT that represents the car. Well, you can ask, what is the benefit of this? Well, you can record the entire life cycle of the car onto that NFT. So basically, when you want to sell the car, you will give with the car an NFT, a digital twin of the car, that will represent the entire life cycle of the car. So if you went through servicing and authorized servicing in the automotive industry, Fiat did something like this year, and they are selling the cars with the NFT. So if you are the second-hand buyer, you are getting the NFT to know that the car was in a good shape. Furthermore on this, you can expand the concept, and you can measure carbon footprints without having the manufacturer intervene. So you can download an app from the internet, like an Android app, install it in Android Auto on your car, and the dynamic NFTs will take data and read data directly from the car, outsourced, and will give you a carbon footprint of the car. Carbon footprint is mileage and fuel consumption. It's dependent on this and on the car manufacturer. So you'll have a carbon footprint. Based on this example, you can also expand on it and read multiple other properties, so in order to enhance the life cycle of the car. Let's shift to another industry where oracles can help us in blockchain, the social media identity. So you want to perform KYCs, right? You want to perform KYCs, but in a decentralized way. So what can you do? You can aggregate multiple sources using the oracles. You can create adapters for each social media platform, and by doing this, you can associate an Ethereum address, a wallet, with an actual social media account. So, for example, the use case for this, let's think about it. I'm a crypto investor, right? And I want to send some money to an address. If you did this, the address is in hexadecimal code, is gibberish, you actually don't understand it. But how about a platform that can give you, okay, I'm sending this to Marin, Alexandru Marin. So this is a person you can inspect on social media, you know who the person is behind it. And you can also have proof of ownership of domains in the blockchain. Another industry covered by oracles is crop insurance, sorry, yeah? Crop insurance, so imagine that you have a farmer. The farmer works his land, and he contacts an agency, insurance agency, that will give funds for his crops in case there is a drought season. For example, 4 months there is no rain and your crops are not in a bad shape. For this, you can go to the insurance company and they will give you money. But it's a process that will take time. It's a process that will take documents, bureaucracy, a lot of processing time. So what you can do is use blockchain for this. The insurance company can directly put funds on the blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, for example, and you can use adapters that will directly read the weather data in a decentralized manner, use the Oracle networks, and in order to use the Oracle networks, it will forward the result on the blockchain, and the blockchain will know that you have a certain weather type in a certain country. Based on what? Based on redundancy of the data feeds. You can integrate AccuWeather, weather.com, national weather data, all in different Oracle networks that will join together in the blockchain to provide a unified vision of that. So you have 3 examples of how you can enhance this. Let's dip a bit deeper and see how this works. So you have a software as a service called Chainlink that provides Oracle technology. Chainlink uses data feeds. And how do they work? Where I was talking about in the beginning that you have smart contracts. And smart contracts are alone and cannot communicate with the outside world. You have a Chainlink network of nodes and adapters that communicate to the smart contracts in a request and response manner. In order to do this, each smart contract needs to be implemented in a certain way to communicate with the Chainlink. And the adapter is a gateway to the Web2 world, the classical world of technology before blockchain. So what I'm giving to you a tool. We are developers, give us a use case, a normal use case, a real-world use case when you see that data needs to be integrated, and we can build this for you using this technology. Adapters also are the bread and butter of this technology, but there are some drawbacks of using this. So the drawbacks are like this. In order to implement smart contracts, there needs to be a drawback from the developer that they need to write the smart contracts in a certain way. Secondly, you need to pay for the services, for the Chainlink services. And this is called a link token that is paid for execution. And you need to think of a use case that will bring you a revenue that you can transform to the execution so you have a self-sustainable business. For example, going back to the crop insurance farmer that I told you about, the insuring agency needs to reserve a certain fund of his, a certain amount of his funds in order to pay for the execution. So you have the entire revenue going to the farmer, but a certain small percent will go to the link token, automatically converted on chain, decentralized, to pay for the execution of the oracles in order to bring the real-world data into the chain. Also, in every use case, there is a problem about trust and redundancies. This is very, very business-driven. For example, the first example that I was talking about, the one with automotive, you put your entire trust in the car manufacturer. Well, doing this, it's kind of counterintuitive for the blockchain, but for that use case works. But in order to build trust, you need redundancy that the Oracle network can provide. For example, the crop insurance example is better in trust because you have multiple data sources that can be aggregated at the same time. This builds trust, builds redundancy. So, in conclusion, here is a little QR you can scan and find more services that we develop for similar use cases like oracles and other services. But from this presentation, one thing in mind I want you to go away from here. That is the fact that blockchain is more than crypto. It's real-world data, and it can help us improve and help us have a better world, trustless and decentralized. And we are not breaking this by using oracles. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.